ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Chapter 1, Text 11. भूरिणी भूरि कर्माणि श्रोतव्यानि विभागशः। अतः साधोऽत्र यत्सारं समुद्धृत्य मनीषया। ब्रूहि भद्राय भूतानां येनात्मा सुप्रसीदति।
Translation. Hare Krishna, everyone. There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, a sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instructions their hearts may be fully satisfied.
सूत जानासि भद्रं ते भगवान् सात्वतां पतिः देवक्यां वसुदेवस्य जातो यस्य चिकीर्षया।
All blessings upon you, O Suta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva.
तन्न शुश्रूषमाणानम् अर्हस्याङ्गानुवर्णितुं यस्यावतारो भूतानां क्षेमाय च भावय च।
O Suta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, acharyas, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them.
आपन्न सम्प्रतिं घोरां यन्नामा विवशो गृणां तथा सद्यो विमुच्येत यद्बिभेति स्वयं भयम्।
Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared for fear personified.
यत्पादसंश्रयासुता मुनय प्रशमायनः सद्य पुनन्त्युपस्पृष्टा स्वर्धुन्यापो अनुसेवया।
O Suta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can be sanctified only after prolonged use.
को वा भगवतस्तस्य पुण्यश्लोकेऽद्य कर्मणः शुद्धिकामो न शृणुयात् यशकलिमलापहम्।
Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of quarrel? Who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord?
तस्य कर्माण्युदाराणि परिगीतानि सूरिभिः ब्रूहि न शुद्धदानानं लीलया ददतः कलाः।
His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations.
अथ क्या हि हरेर्धीमान् अवतारा कथाशुभाः लीला विदधात स्वैरम् ईश्वरस्यात्ममायया।
O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead, Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations, such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his eternal power.
वयं तु न वितृप्यामा उत्तमश्लोकविक्रमे यशृण्वतां रसज्ञानं स्वादु स्वादु पदे पदे।
We never tire of we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for the transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his every moment.
कृतवान् किल कर्माणि सह रामेण केशवः अतिमर्त्यानि भगवान् गूढकपटमानुषः.
Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked. He performed many superhuman acts.
Text 21. कलिमागतमाज्ञाय क्षेत्रस्मिन् वैष्णवे वयम् आसीन दीर्घसत्रेण कथयाम सक्षणा हरेर्.
Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead and in this way perform sacrifice.
Text 22. त्वं न सन्दर्शितो दात्रा दुष्टरं निष्टितीर्षतं कलिं सत्त्वां हरं पुंसं कर्णधारायुवार्णवम्.
We think that we have met your goodness by by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as the captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being.
Text 23. ब्रूहि योगेश्वरे कृष्णे ब्रह्मण्ये धर्मवर्मणि स्वाक्षाष्टम् अधुनोपेते धर्मकं शरणं गतः.
Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed from for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter.
Thank
Jai
you
Hare Krishna.
everyone. Sorry for the mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Matajis. Kishori Gokulananda Mataji and Prabhavati Sachi Mataji, thank you for your beautiful recitations.
Thank you for the service, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So, today we'll be doing 1.1.14, 14th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's recite this verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram cha eva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayesu abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. Apannaha samsmritim goharam yannama vivasho grunan तथा सज्ञो विमुच्येत यद भिबेति स्वयं भयम् आपन्नः संस्मृतिं गोहराम यन्नाम विवेशो गृणन् तथा सज्ञो विमुच्येत यद भिबेति स्वयं भयम् आपन्नः संस्मृतिं घोराम यन्नाम विवशो गृणन् तथा सज्ञो विमुच्येत यदभि Veti swayam bhayam. Apanna, being entangled, samsmritim, in the hurdle of birth and death. Goram, too complicated. Yet, what? Nam, the absolute name. Vivashaha, unconsciously, Grunan chanting Tata from that, Sadhya at once, Vimuchyate, gets freedom, yet that which Vibeti fears, Swayam personally, Bhayam, fear itself. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Purport: Vasudev, or Lord Krishna, absolute personality of Godhead, is the supreme controller of everything. There is no one in creation. There is no one in creation who is not afraid of the rage of the Almighty. Great asuras like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others, who were very powerful living entities, were all killed by the personality of Godhead. And the Almighty Vasudev has empowered his name with the powers of his personal self. Everything is related to him, and everything has its identity in him. It is stated herein that the name of Krishna is feared even by fear personified. This indicates that the name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. Therefore, the name of Krishna is as powerful as Lord Krishna himself. There is no difference at all. Anyone, therefore, can take advantage of the holy names of Lord Shri Krishna, even in the midst of greatest dangers. The transcendental name of Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously or by force of circumstances, can help one obtain freedom from the hurdle of birth and death. आपन्नः संस्मृतिं घोरां यन्नाम विवशो गृणां ततः सद्यो विमुच्येत यद्बिभेति स्वयं भयम् ॐ अज्ञानं तिमिरिन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, in the Canto 1, Chapter 1, is kind of setting the scene for the entire Srimad Bhagavatam to be unfolded before before Parikshit Maharaj. And these are the sages. We studied that their heart is very, very full of compassion for the conditioned soul, jiva of this world, who are whose memories are short, who are short-lived. They are also very unfortunate, very disturbed, and they are also very misguided. So, with these qualifications, how will a conditioned soul of Kali Yuga be able to get out of the cycle of birth and death? This is the question that sages of Naimisharanya are asking to Srila Suta Goswami, who was present when the Bhagavatam was spoken by Srila Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And Sud Goswami is repeating what he heard from Srila Sukadev Goswami in the assembly. So there were a couple of questions that were asked by the sages, and it is quite significant that these questions were asked in a manner that Sukadev Goswami or would start to speak about Lord Shri Krishna. Now, Bhagavatam starts by the description of the beautiful description of Lord Krishna himself. So now, as we travel 13 verses, in between, we had some questions from the sages. So, first thing they wanted to know, what is, in your opinion, is the ultimate good for all humanity? And then they asked, and that was in verse number 9. In verse number 11, it was asked that what is the essence of all the scriptures? Because there are thousands and thousands of scriptures. What is it which is the essence of all the scriptures? And then, just prior to this verse, one before in 12, they asked, what is the purpose of Krishna's appearance? And further, they'll be asking about Purusha avatars, Leela avatar, and where does the religion is they going to take shelter after the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Now, it is significant that this verse, which is actually glorifying Lord Krishna's holy name, has appeared in between these questions. And it is important to understand that this verse is indicating that the Lord's holy name and Lord himself is non-different. So in a way, this verse is appropriately placed here because prior to this, we are understanding that who is Lord Krishna? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the controller of everything, and that he is the one who is conscious of everything. Of him comes the entire creation, destruction, and maintenance. And it is his illusory power and energy that has bewildered the living entity who, by the impact or effect of three modes of material nature, is behaving in an illusioned way on a bodily platform to gratify his senses, and not being able and completely forgetting the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the dormant relationship and love in the heart of living entity is stolen by the material energy of Krishna. And so this living entity is constantly searching for happiness in this material world. Unfortunately, he does not get it because this transcendental happiness or eternal bliss exists in the transcendental abode of Krishna. So Bhagavatam explains all of this prior. Now it is explaining how you can imagine just in a very, very short time is coming to its main objective. Just on the 14th verse, having explained about Lord Krishna, is talking about how this transcendental sound vibration of Krishna has the power to really take away all the miseries of the living entity, which is defined as Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, the birth, old age, death, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, and all the problems by the body. So we can see that how mercifully this verse is being spoken. Apannaha samsmritim goharam. Apanna, somebody who's entangled in the hurdle of birth and death. Goram, too complicated. So we can understand the very first line is saying it's too complicated to understand this business of birth, death, old age, this business of karmic reaction, this business of Prakriti awarding living entity a body based upon their desires to enjoy the senses. It is very, very complicated business, but this business goes on from time immemorial and will continue to go on for time immemorial unless Nam, Yam Nama Vivashogranam. Nam means the absolute names. Even though the names of lords are chanted unconsciously, it says Vivashaha, unconsciously. Still, tata sadhyo vimuchyate. From that at once gets freedom. From what? From the entanglement of this hurdle of birth and death. Now, what are these names? These names even fear the fear itself. Yad bhibeti swayam bhayam. Bhayam is fear. Bhibeti means which can fear. So even these holy names can fear the fearful itself. It's quite interesting how the last line is expressed in a negative way. Why is this expressed in negative way? Reason is that there are certain souls who will take shelter of Lord Krishna, become his devotee, follow his path of dharma laid down by his Bhagavad Gita, by Srimad Bhagavatam, by the Vedic scriptures, and they'll become devotees of the Lord, and they will attain liberation. They will attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by chanting his holy names by his chanting his holy names. At the same time, there will be those who would not be inclined to do this, who will be demoniac, who will think that there is no God, who will be like so-called modern world scientists who propagate that there is no such thing like God. This world is created by some explosion, and such people are propagating against Krishna. They are going against Krishna openly. They are defined as demoniac souls because they want to exercise their independence, and they don't want to be showing their dependence on the higher authority. So they would like to go as per their own desires. And we can see how present day world and the news between now and 7 days before today has been raging the world to the situation of nuclear wars, mass destruction, killing of innocent people, coming to kill from innocent animal to killing of innocent people. This is known, and therefore Krishna is saying that this Bhagavatam is saying that such people's heart will also be very fearful when Krishna will appear in the form of death to them, in the form of death to them. So this is mentioned here, Yad Bhibeti Swayam Bhayam. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport has taken the names of demoniac personalities who have appeared in the pages of scriptures because of their extraordinary demoniac activities. There are many demons in the present day, and they think they are the biggest demons, but they are not big enough that they are captured for the transcendental history to be repeated, so that people can understand how merciful is Lord, and how still he liberates these demoniac people. And these demoniac people, their heart shatters when they hear the name of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, we know that when Arjuna and Krishna were blowing their conch shells, the heart of the son of Dhritarashtra was shattering out of fear, because they knew that the end has come and they were just not wanting to believe it. Yad bhibeti swayam bhayam. This is the holy name of Krishna. At the same time, tata sadhyo vimuchyate. It has the power to free us from all kinds of sinful desires. So, just after this verse, there's also comparison with Ganges. Devotees of the Lord immediately sanctify those who come in touch with them. What to talk about the holy name of the Lord? What to talk about just the holy name of the Lord? Even the devotees of the Lord, who are pure as Lord Krishna himself, when they come in touch with any living entity, at the same time, they have the power and ability to purify the heart of the living entity. And what does it mean when we say purify the heart of living entity? It simply means to purify the mentality to enjoy the senses, and therefore changing that mentality of enjoying the senses of oneself to giving enjoyment to the senses of Lord Krishna. Lord, to give the enjoyment to the senses of Lord Krishna. This is the change of consciousness. And when that happens, the magic happens. The magic happens, and one feels the transcendental happiness of, of the touch of Lord Krishna and his holy names. We sing this particular verse also quite often in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Shanvatam swakatha Krishnam punyashravana kirtanaha hridayantasto hi abhitrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Sri Krishna is the Parama, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart and benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous and properly heard and chanted. You see? So Krishna is absolute, and anything that emanates from Krishna is also absolute. And when this process of absolute is flowing, then we cannot say that anything which is separate from Krishna is less than Krishna. We know that there's a verse in Ishopanishad. I'll just pull it out. Where it is mentioned that there's no difference, even if you take a part from the whole still remains the part is also the whole, and the whole remains the whole, which means even if you take out something from the whole, there is nothing which has been taken away. In other words, that even if you take out something out of the whole is still complete. Please allow me a moment. Yeah, so we'll just see this verse now. I'm sure most of you have heard. Om Purnadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Purnadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. It's such a beautiful description of the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Absolute Truth. who is a complete personality in himself. So even the name that emanates, the name of Krishna, is also an expansion of Krishna. And because the expression or expansion of Krishna, the absolute truth, they are also absolute, and they are also complete. They are also complete. And we see how in Shikshastakam this particular verse has been spoken, where the completeness of the holy names is expressed. Nama namakari bahuda nija sarva saktis tattarpita niyamita smarane nakalaha etadrishi to kripa bhagavan mamapi durdevam mitrisham iha janina anuragaha. Hmm? It says Nama namakari bahuda nija sarva saktish. Let me see if it is here. Yeah. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name, there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You see, it says, by which you expand yourself. And if we refer to Ishopanishad Shloka 1, we know the expansion of Krishna is also absolute, no less than Krishna. You have invested all your potencies in those names. So it says that these names are Krishna himself. It's not that Krishna is, this name is like Krishna. There's a correction. This name is not like Krishna. This name is Krishna. Hmm? You have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I'm so unfortunate that I commit offense while chanting the holy name. And therefore, I do not achieve attachment for chanting. So many people, all practicing devotees, we ask, I've been chanting for many years. I've been chanting for many months. If the holy name is so powerful, then why is it that I am not getting attraction? Why is it my hair are not standing on end? Why is it that I'm not experiencing what is specified in the Shastras? Unending happiness. Why am I still entangled? So if you just see this line towards the end, I commit, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name. Durdevamidrisham iha jani na anuragaha. I do not have attraction for this, attachment, anuragaha, for the holy names of the Lord. And the translation says that why it is happening? Because I commit offenses by chanting the holy name. Now we'll talk about offenses in a bit. Meanwhile, we have to see the mercy of the holy name. We have to see the mercy of the holy name of the Lord. On one hand, we see there are offenses that sadhaka must avoid. On the other hand, we have such examples, what Srila Prabhupada has quoted, which are exceptional examples which give us a lot of hope. Srila Prabhupada says in Narsimha Purana that a Muhammadan was attacked by a white boar. Boar is a pig. So they kill the boar, they generally kill by the tusk of the nose. So the while boar was killing the Muhammadan, he uttered haram, haram. Why did he say haram? Because haram in Urdu means that you don't want it. This is not, is prohibited. It's prohibited. So haram is Urdu word, but this word is found in Puranas also as ha Ram, O Lord Ram. So haram means condemned, condemned, because Mohammedans, they don't eat pig, just like Hindus, they don't eat flesh of cows. So the Mohammedans, they don't eat the flesh of pig. Similarly, this flesh of pig is haram for them. Just like for Hindus, they will not take cows flesh. They may take some other smaller animals, which is also not good, but still. So He did not mean Lord Ram. He wanted to say condemned, haram. This boar is condemned. But he got the result of chanting Ha Ram. Oh my Lord Ramachandra. He got the result. So other places, Srila Prabhupada said he got the liberation, which is mentioned in Narsimha Puran. So this is quite amazing to hear. I don't want to get into the Ajamil story right now because of the time limitation, but I think most of the devotees must have heard the story of Ajamil and how he just says Narayan, Narayan, even though he was calling his son's name, he would he invoked the mercy of Lord Narayan. Immediately Vaikuntha Vasis, Vaikuntha, the Vishnu Dutas, they appeared on the scene to save Ajamila. It is mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that even though Ajamil was calling Narayan as his own son name, at the same time, because of his previous samskar as Brahmin, he recalled in his memory the name of Lord Narayan himself, and therefore Vishnudita appeared on the scene to protect this Ajamil. Hmm. So looking at this verse, Nam, sorry, my screen is on the wrong verse. Okay. नाम नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्तार्पत निमित स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तो कृपा भगवान ममापि दुर्वैव मृदृशम यह जानि न अनुरागः. So I'm reading this book called Japa. It's a beautiful book by His Grace Borijan Prabhu. Borijan Prabhu Japa. Oh, camera is not picking. Okay. So those devotees who want to know a lot more about the holy names and offenses to the holy name, please read this book. It's it's a succinct, a small book, but it's very powerful book that has been written. So I'll just take a few things from this particular book. Very interesting and very insightful. So it says Durdeva means something, means misfortune. So on Sikshastakam, in his commentary by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has given more details in his Bhajan Rahasya, which lists the cause of our misfortune, our lack of attraction despite our chanting of Krishna's holy names. Now, while we are going into that, this verse is also very important, as Srila Prabhupada has always spoken. Ataha Shri Krishna Namadhi na bhaved grahayamindriyaha sevan mukhe hi jivadav swayameva spurati yada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord or the transcendental name, form, quality,
Okay.
pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So this is words from Padma Puran mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ataya Shri Krishna Namadi Navaved Graham Indriya. And Shri Prabhupada often said that if the senses are raw or contaminated, they're not pure. There's no way that one is able to understand the names of the Lord. You will not be able to comprehend or, or appreciate fully the transcendental impact of the holy name sound vibration on our consciousness. It says one becomes saturated by transcendental service to the Lord. What does that mean? That one is overflowing with the desire to serve the Lord. They're saturated, point of saturation. In the material world, the desires, you try to fulfill them, but then they're insatiable because they're driven by lust, and lust is insatiable. You put more ghee on the fire will further burn. And the more you put the ghee, the fire will become bigger and bigger. The greed will feed the greed. So this lust will never be satisfied. However, when that lust is replaced by the love of Krishna, devotional service, there will be saturation. There will be some sort of fulfillment. Their heart will start to feel the presence of love of Krishna and happiness. And in such situation, our blunt senses, they'll become purified. When the senses become purified, we'll appreciate more and more. And this way we can understand or enter into the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Lord Krishna. Now, just to understand the form or the quality or the pastimes of the Lord, there's only one most essential thing that has been spoken, and that is to hear the holy names of the Lord. Because within the holy names of the Lord are hidden the pastimes, the form, the personality of the Lord, and his abode. Everything is within this holy names of the Lord. But however, we just saw that we do not have the attachment towards the holy names of the Lord. Now, when we look at this, that why do we not have attachment? Na anuragaha. Hmm? Durdeva midrisham iha jani na anuragaha. So here, now we bring in the commentary from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, which says, what are the four causes of the lack of taste? The first of these causes, tattva vibhrama. If we only superficially understand the tattva or truth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, we become confused. Vibhrama. Brahma means confused, vibhrama, about how to progress. So, lacking the spiritual depth to realize just how tiny we are bewilders us into the conviction that we are actually significant. Filled with our own importance, we think the world should revolve around our desires and become frustrated, and we become frustrated and angry when it does not happen that way. Then, mistaking the identities of others, we quickly divide them into friends and enemies. So much suffering causes from all this ignorance. That our consciousness becomes captured by false ego proves that we lack self knowledge. We do not understand that we are Krishna's eternal servant or that our identity in relationship with him cannot be altered. It is simply who we are. Although being Krishna's eternal servant implies that we have an eternal relationship with him, we nevertheless have turned our back on him and have tried to separate ourselves from this intrinsic relationship. Because of that, we suffer existential emptiness. We are incurably lonely. Aside from not knowing ourselves, we also don't know Krishna. Neither do we deeply understand the prescribed sadhana process. Yes, we do chant Hare Krishna, but how deep is our realization and surrender to this practice? We lack clear understanding of what is favorable and what is unfavorable to our devotional service. Thus, we tend to do things that hinder our bhakti and fail to do those things that helps our bhakti. So that's first cause, which is tattva brahma, vibhrama. We think ourselves very significant, although we are not. Second cause of a misfortune is ashata trishna, thirst for the temporary. We thirst for the temporary. It comes in four forms. We maintain petty desires. We maintain petty desires for material comfort. We desire heavenly pleasures. We desire mystic powers. And we tend to desire liberation or freedom from suffering. And people don't want to suffer. So somehow or other, take me away from this suffering. And that is actually liberation. I want to be in peacefully resting situation where no desires come, nothing happens. I want to be in that nothingness, in that Brahman Jyoti, go and merge there. So all that kind of liberation. So that's just basically trying to free from suffering. This last anartha appears when, while we are chanting Hare Krishna, our desire to go back to Godhead is strongly motivated by the desire to escape suffering. So if somebody is chanting the holy names of the Lord to escape suffering of this world, then it is also an anartha. This attitude is actually self-centered and has little to do with bhakti. The core of its salvation, the core of it is salvation. It is my own liberation. It is not Krishna's satisfaction. So the point number 2 is Ashtatrishna, thirst for the temporary. Point number 1 was Tattva Vibrama, thinking oneself very significant while one is not. And the third cause, Hridaya Daurabalyam, which means related to weakness of the heart. The first is attachment to objects unrelated to Krishna and deceit, fault finding, envy, and the desire for fame. I'll read again. Hridaya Daurbalyam refers to two related weaknesses: attachment to objects unrelated to Krishna and deceit, fault finding, enviousness, and desire for fame. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur notes that sadhakas should be specially careful for the hankering for fame. Such outpouring of false ego are extremely difficult to eradicate. So even when one comes into bhakti, he's still trying to be known, to become famous, to become to be recognized, etc. So if that hankering of fame is there, it will be very, very difficult to eradicate, and it will cause hridaya daurbalyam, which will come in our way of tasting the holy name of the Lord. Now, this was the third one. So, first one was Tattva Vibrama. Second one was the Asata Trishna. And third is Hridaya Daurabalyam. Now, the fourth cause of misfortune is Aparad. We commit offenses when we chant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami, of the 9 process of devotional service, most important is to chant the holy name of the Lord always. If one does so, avoiding 10 kind of offenses, one very easily obtain the most valuable love of Godhead. Is spoken in Chaitanya Charitamrita Anta Leela 4.71. So it is wise to avoid the 10 offenses against the holy name. These offenses are listed in Padma Puran, and Srila Prabhupada presents them in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5, 23 to 24. I recommend that devotees, they can read these offenses. We chant them every day in the morning, and these offenses are far more than just hearing attentively, because it is more to do with our understanding of the holy name. Are we following the orders of the Guru? Are we committing any Vaishnava aparadhs, etc.? So if you read, we'll find out that what are these offenses, and if we do not behave, act, understand in that manner, our love for holy names will not arise in our heart. Then it says, to understand aparadh and why they adversely affect our ability to achieve the result of chanting, we should remember that Krishna and his holy name are non-different. This means that as Krishna is a person, his holy name is a person. Committing Nam Aparadh therefore means that we are insulting Nam Prabhu. It is only natural. He does not award his full potency. He does not give himself to the offenders. If a great and influential person wishes to bestow his wealth upon us, we maliciously criticize his devoted servants, he will be offended. If we consider his inferiors equal to him, again he will be offended. If we disobey his assistant, especially those who have introduced us to him, or if we criticize the books that describe his wealth and power and position, or if we misinterpret his glories or consider them made up, it is only natural that he'll be offended. So all the offenses to bhakti to 10 offenses, if we it is being given by analogy here, that if it was a wealthy person and if you do all of these offenses to his subjects, to his servants, to his books, then obviously you are offending the personality. Similarly, with the holy names, if we insult the literature, the Vedic literature, insult his servants who are the pure devotees of the Lord, insult the name itself in some way or the other, thinking that they are lower than demigods or equal to demigods, all of that is a great offense. Finally, it says unfavorable results that stem from committing offenses, crookedness, or performing devotional service to gain something other than Krishna's pleasure, faithlessness, attachment to things that destroy faith in the Lord, slackness in the performance of devotional practices, pride in one's devotional advancement. All of this will appear when you do Nam Aparad. Offenses are extremely deleterious to our devotional progress. So finally, it ends saying that do not criticize devotees. Sadhu Ninda, even in your thinking. Do not talk and gossip like people in general or hear what they say. So criticism of devotee is born of pride and infamous envy. Often our criticism takes place during casual conversations when we are not even thinking about what we are saying. Every time we express envy and malice towards a devotee, the lotus of the heart contracts. Those who want to chant purely must avoid all sadhu ninda, including the cheap and unthinking variety. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned Raghunath Das Goswami, Gram Katha na sunibe. Do not talk gossip like people in general or hear what they say. And avoid pramad while chanting. So we do not have time now. I'll conclude this class for now. If there are any comments or questions, we can take them here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Dandavat pranams. I have a few queries on this. Now, this verse says that when we chant, even unconsciously, that person can be basically out from the this fourth steps like birth to death. So, is it something like chanting or saying the name unconsciously is something better than chanting name it offensively? So that's question, because when we chant offensively, we are saying that we don't get the benefit, actual benefit. And here this verse says, even if you chant unconsciously, get the benefit. So how do we understand that? And the second thing is, so when it says that a person will be out from these material diseases or the material birth and the death cycle, so that means it's in the incremental way, or in the same lifetime, the immediately after this lifetime, that person will be out from this birth and death cycle. So for example, if I take, like we have so many names in Hindu category, we have so many names of Hari. Like in my project which I'm working, there is name Hari, Gopal, Ram, Krishna, everyone is there. So many, there are the foreign people calling them with those names, and they don't know the power of the name. And even up to some extent, even I don't know. So we are calling those names regularly. So when it says that even if you chant those names unconsciously, you'll be out from this birth and death cycle. So will that happen immediately in the same lifetime, or do we take another birth to realize that? So how will that work?
So there are two questions, Venkat.
Yes, Prabhuji.
One is saying that it says that even if you chant unknowingly, we can be liberated from the bondage of birth and death. At the same time, it says that because you are chanting offensively, therefore you're not able to realize the taste of the holy names of the Lord. Now, if we see that there are some exceptional cases where Puranas or Itihasas are capturing those moments when the holy name has given benefits to those who never chanted them before. And they have just chanted the names of the Lord unknowingly, like in the case of what Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, Haram. And then because they've chanted Lord Ram name, hence he got benefited. So is it false? Definitely not. The potency of the holy name works like that. And people get liberated. Now, but that is not the most desirous situation, because we may not be able to chant the holy names of the Lord unknowingly also many times. Now, your second question was also linked to this. I'll just take a bit of that here. that people are chanting the names due to the project. The Srila Prabhupada has stated, I was reading day before yesterday on some of his conversations, he was saying that whether they become the part of Krishna consciousness or they do not become the part of Krishna consciousness. Because knowingly or unknowingly, they are saying, these Hare Krishna people, these Hare Krishna people, they are disturbing. These Hare Krishna people are doing this. These Hare Krishna people are doing that. Because they're calling again and again Hare and Krishna, they are greatly benefited that they don't know. So, with this, we understand that anybody who is taking names of the Lord unknowingly, because they're not causing any offense, you see, they're not causing offense, they're not causing Vaishnava aparad. Therefore, they're getting benefit. Jagai and Madai, when Lord Nityanand came, there was no sinful act that they had not done on the earth. They have plundered, they have murdered, they have burned houses of the people, they have raped, they have uh, they've done all kinds of abominable things. They were always drunk, always abusing, fighting, and when Lord Nityanand met them, and when Lord Nityanand requested them, please chant holy names of the Lord, they were raving upon Lord Nityanand and Srila Haridas Thakur. The only reason that they got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya, was that even though they had done so many sinful activities, they had never criticized a Vaishnava in their life. And they were coming from a very high Brahmanical um, background, high birth, but because of bad association, they became like that. So from these examples, we understand that, first of all, we may not be lucky just to chant names of the Lord unknowingly. And we may have chanted in the past for which we might be reaping benefits now. Those who are chanting today unknowingly, they will get the benefits in the future. And depending upon, for example, when Srila Prabhupada chanted the holy names of the Lord, their lives changed. And many who took it seriously, we know them, they have purified themselves, and now they are purifying the world. And they not only they can purify the world, they can also purify river Ganges, because they have become pure devotees of the Lord. Such is the power of the holy name of the Lord. Because it was given by pure devotee of the Lord, there was an impact. So who is chanting, and in what mood they are chanting the holy names of the Lord will have an impact. When will it affect? One video, Srila Prabhupada said, immediately, now. He says, right away. He said, don't you read Bhagavad Gita? You must have seen that video. And Sarvdham Paritajya Mamekam Sharanam Vrajaham Sarva Papyapyo Mokshashyami Mashacha. I'll release you from all the sins. Just surrender unto me. And the sign of surrender is chanting the holy names of the Lord. And the devotee said, Hari Bol. At the same time, it may not happen because of our contaminations. When we come in association of devotee and we chant holy names of the Lord, the only thing that is separating us from the Lord is the time factor. And this time factor looks very big and massive in the material dimensions, but it's actually nothing in the spiritual dimension. Only present exists in the spiritual dimension. There is no calculation of time. So from our perspective, it might be a big time, but that is necessary for purification. What happens if we prematurely reach to spiritual world? Imagine the situation that if we have the spiritual material desires and we reach to spiritual world, we would like to become like Krishna. We would like to be centered like we do it in this part, in the material world. We will be such a misfit, and we'll be again lurching to go back to the material world, because that's where I can become God myself. I can be the center of attraction. Why Krishna is the center of attraction? So if we reach prematurely to the spiritual world with all this desire to be the center of the universe, then we will be again expelled by our own thoughts and desires from the spiritual world into the material world. Therefore, this time is given. This time is given to purify our senses, to purify our desires, to practice that by chanting these holy names, to practice that we become subservient to the desires of the Lord. We give enjoyment to the senses of the Lord. So, therefore, it is significant that we must be allowed that time. Krishna must allow that time to us. Holy names must allow that time to us so that our blunt senses become purified. If, as I said, if we prematurely do it, then it's something that may not help us. So time is not very significant. What is significant here is that it will happen. It will happen. I'm sure I'll repeat myself if you have heard when reporter asked Prabhupada that how many pure devotees are in your movement. Srila Prabhupada asked one of his disciples, how many are ISKCON members? And then when press reporter heard so many, he said, they just joined some 2 months, some 3 months, so 1 year. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, they have just joined. It's like mango on the tree. If they stick to the mango tree, then due course of time they'll ripen. But if they're not, then they will not. So if we stay in association devotee under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, eventually we'll reach there. So all these people who are chanting Krishna's holy name unknowingly, they will get more either in this lifetime or next lifetime, but they will surely get it like we are getting it. And then they will become pure devotees, as shall all of the practicing sadhakas will become as under the disciplic succession of Srila Prabhupada. I hope that answers your question, Venkat Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you for a very detailed explanation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I think it's 50 past 20 now. If there's any comment, question, we can take it, or else we can say Hari Bol. Okay. Vanchakaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaya vicha patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very soul-touching class. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very
Prabhuji.
nice
Thank you,
class.
Prabhuji,
Thank
for
you,
wonderful.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, devotee.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good to see you after such a long time. You're on mute, Mataji. Govinda Mataji, you're on mute.
Is it okay now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I always join late because we got another class going on, chanting session for our Guru March. Every night we all chant in the group. Then after the class, we join your class. So thank you so much. It's a very brilliant class. You give very much a good example.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that I'm in your class, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your association.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Haribo. Haribo.